Hey guys, like a lot of you, I was trying to get a real sense of what's going on with Larry Reid because, as you guys know, a young man came out and accused him of molesting him at a young age. And Tasha K put out a lot of information on it, as well as Sean Davy Way and a lot of the other bloggers like King Payne. And so I was listening to Sean Davy Way and all the things that he put out. And I just wanted to pull out some highlights as to what's going on currently with Larry Reid.
Because it's a lie. Like, there is no, Reid had never been by himself. Never. We were married all the way up until 2007. Lavontraye was born in 1990, so that makes him 17. And if I'm in the picture, that is not happening.
Now, that was Larry Reid's ex-wife saying that it's a lie and he's never been by himself. And I'm saying to myself, really? You have been with him 24/7? And mind you, she said she was away for 2 years. So I don't know how she is so sure that it's a lie. Because, folks, when you try to swear on a Bible, stack of Bibles for someone, and they come out and they themselves debunk you and say, no, it might be true, then you begin to look stupid.
I was only gone for 2 years.
So out of her own mouth, she was only gone for 2 years. But yet she knows definitely for sure that everything is a lie. It's a lie what this young man said. And he has never been by himself. So, folks, I'm just trying to make this make sense to me because that didn't make any sense. She was gone for 2 years, but yet she will swear on a stack of Bibles for Larry Reid.
None of this. Reid was never by himself. He always had his adjutant with him or Marco. He has never been by himself with nobody. So I'm trying to figure out, what I'm saying is there was no room there for none of that.
Now, guys, you heard her. He was never alone by himself. There was no room for none of that. But yet, Larry Reid came out and said, yes, it might be true where I was alone. I'm paraphrasing, but here's what he said.
Well, to Lavontraye's point, I never went nowhere by myself, but when I was home, I always stayed up in the room as I still do now. And just like now, everybody comes one by one into my room and asked me, engaged me, talked to me, however. So we were by ourselves because there were things that he would do and nobody would be around.
So, guys, correct me if I'm wrong. But if people would come to his room by themselves, one by one, wouldn't that be being alone with a person? And then he said Lavontraye would come to his room and he would do some things and nobody would be around. First of all, I have to ask the question, what were those things? That's what I'm asking myself. I'm wondering, what are the things that he would do when nobody was around in this man's room? He didn't specify. But what he did was to throw his ex-wife right under the bus. So right now she has no credibility. Because what she came out and said that he was never alone. He said, well, in kind of a way, I was alone with a lot of people, including Lavontraye. So at that point in the interview, Lavontraye came on and he stated what was on his mind and, what he had gone through. And I got to commend this young man, and I got to say that he was very brave, like Sean Davy Way said, very brave in coming out, because a lot of people would have sat on that story because they would have felt ashamed, because in the Black community, we feel so ashamed of a lot of things. And a lot of people would have sat on it, like I said before, and not even admit that it happened. Because especially for a Black man to come out, and he's a married man too, and this would have been scandalous. And so, you got to give it to him. Give him his props and his kudos that it was very brave of him to come out and speak his mind and tell his truth about what happened to him at the hands of Larry Reid. This is all alleged. At the time of the alleged abuse, he was a teenager.
So what are you talking about? None of this. Reid was never by himself. He always had his adjutant with him or Marco. He has never been by himself with nobody. So I'm trying to figure out, what I'm saying is there was no room there for none of that to happen. None.
Well, to Lavontraye's point, I never went nowhere by myself, but when I was home, I always stayed up in the room as I still do now. And just like now, everybody comes one by one into my room and asked me, engaged me, talked to me, however. So we were by ourselves because there were things that he would do and nobody would be around. What he is touting and saying that I did was not me. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it like that.
So, guys, here again, just reminding you guys that this is just snippets from the interview that Sean Davy Way had with Larry Reid, and then Tasha K dropped him a couple of videos with Larry Reid admitting that even if the allegation came his way, he would deny it.
And he also told me about his cousin Mike and his former pastor, which is his mama's pastor, he was playing the drums over there, had exposed him to some things, maybe a strip club, maybe it was, I can't remember, don't quote me on that, and some girl that he had a relationship with. So when he came to me, this is why when somebody said that he said that I asked him to dance and turn around and show me da-da-da. Number one, and I should repeat again, I shared things with him I should not have shared.
Here again, Larry Reid is not being specific. He's very, very vague.
And because I told information, he was consistently curious about my life and what I have done, particularly with men. And he was very interested in it. So he will always bring it up. I had other relationships in my life and other adjutants who one was like a protector. And he knew all my business. And if he would talk, he would remember me at the altar. I was led to go to the church 2:00 in the morning. And I called him and have him go with me. And I prophetically felt all of this. Now he's going to remember this. Marco, I told the story. I said, I feel like I'm going to be blamed or put in a situation where men are going to be saying, and women, that I have been inappropriate with them. I don't like the culture of this ministry. I don't.
Well, yes, people would be talking, I would think. What do you guys think? If your pastor tells you that he wants to go to the church 2:00 in the morning, what about 9:00 in the morning when the sun is up and everybody can see what's going on?
He had time. He was run to my house when he was staying in the house with Vince and them, and Kendall was coming over there to do my feet.
Did he say do his feet? Was he giving them pedicures? Drop it in the comment section if I heard this thing right. What is a member of the church going to the pastor's house to do his feet? Isn't that what they got nail salons for?
I did not know he was putting on my clothes.
Now I'm trying to think, how would this young man get to his clothes to put on his clothes? Isn't his clothes in the closet? In a bedroom somewhere? Why would this young man be in the bedroom putting on his clothes from the closet? I'm thinking that's where his clothes would be. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks. And then again, he said he would always be in his room. If you're always in your room and your closet is in your room and this young man is putting on your clothes, wouldn't you know? So that part really didn't make sense to me, folks. Make it make sense. Drop your comments.
I did not know he was mimicking me. I did not know that he was telling the people at the school that I was his father, his blood father, his real father. I didn't know that. I did not know that he was telling people I'm going to be buying him a car, me and him going to be going on trips. I wasn't even that person to do that. Then I go on trips now, take folk. I don't know where any of that is coming from.
Well, Larry Reid said he was alone with Lavontraye from time to time, alone in his room, as he would be with other people. And they would do things, but he didn't specify what type of things they would do. Apparently, this is allegedly, it is so heavy, these things that Lavontraye would do, that he can't even mention it. He can't even bring himself to mention what things he would do. So maybe the things that he would do cause him to believe that he and Larry Reid would go away on trips, and he would buy him a car, and he was like his father.
And $60. There were conversations and things that we would have about what he wanted to do with his life that I know was inappropriate. And
at least he admitted some conversations were inappropriate. But this is my question. If you know the conversations were inappropriate as a minister, a preacher, a man of the cloth, a man of God, God-fearing, why have those conversations with your young congregation? Namely, this young man who goes by the name of Lavontraye. Because you're supposed to be the leader. You're supposed to know better. You're supposed to set the example. You're supposed to lead your congregation. So, folks, here again, this is my commentary to Sean Davy Way's interview with Larry Reid.
we had real personal conversations that I should not have had, in my opinion, if I knew who he was, but I didn't know who he was. And those conversations took place when they moved back into my house in 2009 when they were living in Grace Park. I really hate that I allowed him close to me. I'm not sorry for having a relationship with him. I have a relationship with everybody. But I want to say this. Because of dealing like that, these young guys would develop with me strange connections and would fight over me. I didn't know that. I remember this one guy who was transgender. And I remember trying to tell him to masturbate because he was so sexually active.
I know I didn't just hear what I heard. Did I hear or did I imagine that he said he would tell this young man to masturbate because he was sexually active? What about abstaining? Preacher, man of God, man of the cloth, holier than thou. What about abstaining?
But because he was a bottom, which then I didn't have this knowledge.
What does that have to do with the issue? Him being a bottom is not the issue here. You, as the adult preacher, the leader of the church, is supposed to guide these young people. You don't tell them that, oh, masturbate if you have a sexual urge or an issue. And what does him being the bottom got to do with the crux of the problem? The crux of the problem is that Larry Reid did not know how to be a preacher and a leader for his church.
Masturbate because he was so sexually active. But because he was a bottom, which then I didn't have this knowledge, he's like a woman. So a woman doesn't jerk off. You know, she sometimes insert her vulva, a clitoris, a little clitoris play. And that's how he would. But he had to stick large objects in his anus. He liked fisting. So I could understand why jacking off did not work for him, but he explained it. I said,
so here again, this so-called preacher was not acting like a preacher because he said that this young man liked fisting. He did not like conservative sex and the usual sex to jerk off for a man. So what was he doing counseling this young man? How come he knows so much about this young man's personal sexual habits? And if this young man had a problem, if he could not set him straight and fix it, or at least try to help him, At least he could have directed him to a counselor who can help this young man. But it sounds to me all he was doing was just gratifying himself with the information. This is all alleged, folks, all alleged.
Oh, he said, I gotta have something in me. So I got so many stories, which
Oh, we don't want to hear about the stories, Mr. Larry Reid, Pastor. We want to hear, how did you help this young man? Did you guide him to a counseling session or through a counseling session to help him with his problem? Did you at least send him to a different counselor? At least attempt? I really don't understand how people can call themselves men of God and they are out doing all this devious stuff. A young man comes to you and he got a sexual problem and you're going to tell him go jerk off? And the young man says, well, jerking off does not help me because I like large objects in my anus. And you are going to say, well, I got a lot of stories to tell. I want to know, what did you do to help him? So right now, things are not looking good for Larry Reid because he's doing a whole lot of talking. And the more he talks, he's sinking deeper into that pit of hell. So then this part of the show, the Sean Davy Way show, he began to explain how come Tasha K came into the picture. So he says there's a woman who goes by the name of Latrice. She goes to Larry Reid's church and she's a friend of Larry Reid. She is by profession a chef. She's married to Shamarko. Shamarko is accused of to be sleeping allegedly with Larry Reid. Now, this is all alleged, folks. All alleged. Now, what I want to know is, has Larry Reid admitted to being gay? Because now they're saying he's gay with this Shamarko. Both of them are gay together. They're lovers, allegedly. That's what Sean Davy Way said on his show.
So Latrice comes back into play. So she is a church member of Larry's. She is Larry's friend, allegedly childhood friend. They knew each other for a while, whatever. The chef, and is also Shamarko's wife. Now, Shamarko is the queer that has been sleeping with Larry since he came into the church. Absolutely. So he's been sleeping with Larry for a very long time, allegedly. They're gay together. They're each other's get off, if you will. Instead of going out into the public seeking people, they just, yeah. So here, Flip. He's his right-hand man. So, my girl. So now, Shamarko, gay ass, is married to Latrice, my fault, Latrice. Now, Latrice is gay as hell as well. Okay, Latrice is big gay, big lesbian, dyke is what she is. So she sent up here a whole lesbian that cook. Shout out to lesbians. And Larry sent Tasha, because I was wondering what that were. I'm like, okay, well, how did Tasha get in this? Like how did Tasha come to know these things about Larry? Because she said that she didn't know, right? So I'm just like, okay, well, when did you find out? So this is why I feel like this is important, because this is how Tasha K comes in to play. So Tasha K said that, at the time she was having a private conversation with Larry, Hodge, your teenager.
So, folks, this is very important. Sean Davy Way is breaking down how Tasha K got to know Larry Reid and how Latrice came into the picture with Tasha K. And it's all making sense the way he breaks it down. So let's continue to listen.
And Tasha said it was hard maintaining a household while being a content creator, and whatnot, cooking and cleaning and stuff like that, mainly cooking for the family and stuff like that can be really hard, because she be working hard, right? So Larry told Tasha, you should hire a chef.
So guys, remember, Latrice is the friend of Larry Reid, childhood friend, grew up together, and she goes to his church. So Tasha K was looking for a chef. She's telling Larry Reid this, I'm presuming, and so he tells Tasha K, I got somebody for you, and that's how Latrice came into the picture. And Tasha K came into the picture with Larry Reid and Latrice. This is what I'm gathering so far. But let's continue to listen as he breaks it down for us to understand how Tasha K became all intertwined all with these people.
So, what's it talking about? That would suck. But, so, okay, good. So y'all saying no good. So, Larry told Tasha that she should get a chef. So Larry told Tasha to get a chef and, to help her out, since she has such a heavy load and, things to do. So he sent Latrice, or, it's like, hey, I have a chef that you could use. So Tasha uses Latrice, right? So Tasha said that she found out about the accusers through Latrice. Now, at this point, Tasha had spoke to Larry about these allegations because Larry called Tasha for advice when Lavontraye came forward with Daryl Moore.
I hope you guys are getting a clearer understanding of this whole story. There's a part 1, 2, and 3 on the Sean Davy Vay's channel. Go over there and check it out. This is the part 4. And if you want the video in its entirety, you can go over to his program and check it out. I just pulled out some excerpts that I thought was important to me of part 4. Perhaps someone can learn from it, of having a preacher who is not guiding the congregation in the right direction, allegedly.
So when Daryl Moore came out originally with the accuser, Lavontraye and others. Okay, I'm gonna make sure I'm saying this right. Okay. Tasha had no knowledge, this stuff going on. She had no idea. So when Larry contacted her about Daryl, Larry told Tasha that there were, because Tasha was like, okay, well, are there any victims, like accusers, anything like that? And Larry said no. So Larry was like, so Tasha's like, okay, well then sue him. Like, why would he come forward with nobody, with any receipts or with no receipts or a person stating that these things happen? So he's just pretty much coming forward, saying that you did something to somebody. Like, no, sue him. Is how what Tasha's saying and how Larry told her. So then Larry did just that. He sued Daryl Moore. Now, after that, this is when later on, this is when the conversation came up about the chef, and whatnot. And then, Tasha, I'm assuming, used the chef, and the conversation was had that Tasha said, Tasha said that the lady said Latrice, while I'm assuming she cooked for her. She said, I don't know why those boys lied.
So it sounds like if initially Tasha was siding with Larry Reid, because according to this man, Sean Davy Way, she said, I don't know why those boys lied. And she advised Larry Reid to file a lawsuit because he said he was innocent. And he went about filing a lawsuit against Daryl Moore. I wonder what's going on with that lawsuit.
Lavontraye stated that he likes Latrice. Even still, basically to this day, like he doesn't have a problem with her. He said that she was a nice person and whatnot, and he feels that the reason why she is so pro-Larry, because she knows what's up too, but the reason she's so pro-Larry is because he is financing her lifestyle, which makes complete sense because she is married to Shamarko, Larry's right-hand man, whom lifestyle he is giving as well.
So guys, she is married to, I'm talking about Latrice, she's married to Shamarko, and remember, Shamarko is the guy who is accused of sleeping with Larry Reid. He's supposed to be his right-hand man, and this is all alleged. So now, Sean Davy Way played a recording from Larry Reid that Tasha K sent him, and this is what Larry Reid had to say.
Understand, if a pastor, leader, teacher ends up sleeping with a student or however, I understand that can get sticky. I get all of that. The situations that I've been in, as a pastor, as a mentor, I'm not proud of those situations, and I would never tell you. And if it ever came out, I probably would deny. I ain't gonna say no lie.
Okay, you heard what Larry Reid said. He would deny it if it ever came out, whatever it was, because he's been in some sticky situations as a pastor. He's not proud of it, and he's going to deny it if it ever came out. Now, folks, I'm not judging, but is this the kind of pastor you want? That he's doing stuff that he's not proud of, and if it ever came out, he's going to deny it? Is this the kind of pastor people really want in their lives? At least Tasha K did the right thing. She passed on this footage to Sean Davy Way for more people to know that this man said that he's going to deny whatever comes out.
I understand if a pastor, leader, teacher ends up sleeping with a student or however. I understand that can get sticky. I get all of that. The situations that I've been in, as a pastor, as a mentor, I'm not proud of those situations, and I would never tell you. And if it ever came out, I probably would deny it because I didn't tell no lie.
So, folks, there's more to the video. I just extracted the most important parts, in my opinion, because from what I've seen so far, I think Larry Reid convicted himself. It's not even the public who is going to be the judge in this matter. He himself has thrown himself under the bus because all the things that he has said led to his demise. Instead of him lawyering up and keep his trap shut, he wanted to get out there and convince the public that he is not a molester. But what in fact he ended up doing was to shed light that he had all the opportunity to molest, because in his own words, he said that he was always in his room. I'm thinking he means his office. And people would come in, stream in for a one-on-one. So he had access privately with these people who accused him of molestation. And so when Lavontraye said that he was alone with him and he denied it, in fact, he admitted it in the tape that we just heard in the beginning of the video, that yes, he did have private moments with Lavontraye, as well as other people. So when his ex-wife got out there and said, no, he did not, and that he was never alone with him, he proved her to be a liar. That's why it's important that you don't put your head on the chopping block for people that you don't really know. Because she thought she knew him, and she was going to swear on a stack of Bibles. But let me tell you, if she had swore, she would have been, her soul would have been going to hell right now, because the man came out and in his own words, he said, yes, he did have private moments with Lavontraye. So that's access. So this is for those who are not familiar with the case of Larry Reid. This is a brief recap. So Dr. Larry Reid of Larry Reid Life is being accused of molesting a teenage boy. Now, Dr. Larry Reid has denied all and any allegations. This is according to blackchristiannews.com. So Larry Reid is known for giving social commentary and weighing in on spiritual abuse, setting himself up as a champion of the oppressed who exposes bad churches and bad pastors. So it was ironic when a few months ago, Lavontraye Andrews publicly accused Larry Reid of molesting him when he was a teenager. Reid, in turn, sued him for defamation, but then quickly dropped the lawsuit. So the article further stated that Lavontraye Andrews, started attending the Breakthrough Church, where Reid was senior pastor, and soon Reid became that father figure for him, so much so that the teenager eventually came to live with him in his home. So in an interview with Tasha K, Lavontraye expressed how after his father and mother divorced, his father was absent and it caused him some trauma. Also, he said he was having difficulty working through the fact that his father was not around in his life. So he started to attend Breakthrough Church, where Reid was the senior pastor. And soon, Reid became that father figure for him, so much so that the teenager eventually came to live with him in his home. So Lavontraye alleges that Reid groomed him for over a year, telling him things like engaging in gay sex acts don't make someone gay, or giving another man oral sex doesn't make the person gay. Planting the seeds. So in the future, any overtures that he made towards Lavontraye may seem as if nothing is wrong. So Lavontraye explained that after the year of grooming, soon after, Reid molested him. And Andre explained that the events took place in the context of a father-son dynamic where Reid framed the abuse as a way he could give the young man, the young teenager, a spiritual covering. And the young teenager, in turn, could help the minister relieve some of the spiritual pressures he was under. So according to Black Christian News, Larry Reid himself has said many times that he has been sexually abused and molested by an older male in the church in the past when he was a child, describing in detail what happened to him and how it damaged him for life. So it sounds to me, guys, as if Larry Reid went through his trauma and he never got any healing because he said it damaged him for life, and a lot of times hurt people. So it looks like if all the evidence so far points his way, and it's saying guilty. So maybe he needs to go into counseling and help to heal himself instead of turning to these young boys for healing, allegedly. If you want to read further into the article, go to christiannews.com. I'm over and out. Drop your comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel and today's video. Thank you for watching.